Good afternoon, Madam Chair, dear Sylvia, if I may, Excellencies, distinguished guests, but also friends, colleagues from civil society. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation to this event, which marks the International Day of Older People. And it was already said by many of my predecessors that this year it takes the International Day place in a different context. I think we can celebrate. It's just the beginning in the process of preparing the convention, but it's true. I do believe as well that it's a sort of a game changer, and we are actually embarking on something extremely important. As Age Platform Europe, this organization from the European Union, which I represent, we gather roughly over 100 organizations from the EU, either self-advocates, but also those organizations which provide services for older persons. Of course, we reflect a lot in our work on how the convention can actually help enhance very concretely the protection, the promotion of equality and human rights in old age. And in this context, I think that the question of intergenerational solidarity definitely comes also at a very key and precise moment. We do believe that actually intergenerational solidarity, which is basically about mutual support, but also about shared responsibilities, and this, of course, goes both within and between generations. This is the kind of intergenerational solidarity that we believe should be not only a social imperative, but this is a principle which can help, I'm convinced, to better understand and define human rights in old age. So today, as we are moving towards the UN Convention, it is extremely important to establish, I think, norms that can foster solidarity and resilience, which will be based on what it was already said by my predecessor, based on what unites us rather on what divides us. Intergenerational solidarity is extremely relevant in this discussion because, first of all, it challenges age-based discrimination and promotes, I would say, a more inclusive society where the rights and contributions of older people are recognized and respected. By the way, already WHO says very clearly in one of its reports that intergenerational solidarity, is one of the proven strategies to fight efficiently ageism. Why? Because actually it presupposes that older people are not viewed as a burden, but as equal rights holders with dignity, autonomy, and continuing role in society. So it's true, different generations, we do have different experiences, sensibilities, expectations, and this is, I think, a natural thing. It is not a question then of choosing between the interests, needs, or aspirations of one or another generation. It's rather to build on these diverse experiences in a harmonious way, rather than opposing them, as I said, as mutually exclusive. And once again, the UN Convention can operationalize this principle by providing a more, I would say, nuanced understanding of universal rights across life course. But at the same time, intergenerational solidarity is not exactly the same thing as a fairness between generations. These are complementary, very important two concepts, but they should not be interchangeable. Although this sometimes happens actually in the approach policymakers speak about connections between generations. For us as Age Platform Europe, solidarity is about embracing everyone. So it's about caring, it's about sharing, it emphasizes the connection, mutual support between different groups, communities. It's something that the society can foster, but we as individuals, we can practice. And it was said by my predecessor. We are doing this, so these acts of solidarity every single day as parents, grandparents, daughters, sons, but also spouses, neighbors, friends, employees, carers. We do also this in between different population groups towards those who may be actually in need. So I think this is the beauty of intergenerational solidarity. While fairness is something, as I said, additional, but it's not the same. It consists of a fair treatment that takes account of different circumstances and needs. So that, of course, provides, I fully agree, a useful, I would say, macro perspective about, for example, distribution of resources, benefits, costs. But at the same time, I think fairness may, I'm insisting, may reinforce the assumption that individuals or groups, that we as people are motivated by self-interest, whether material, emotional, economic, and so on. So this, I think, can be dangerous. It can be counterproductive, because then this can direct policies towards meeting the needs or interest of one single community, population, or age group to the determinant of the well-being and cohesion of a wider society. So here I wanted just to emphasize that these two concepts, they are complementary, but they have very concrete meanings behind. And of course, solidarity, and this is certainly what age always insists on, is based on the fact that we focus on the inequalities that exist within generations. So rich, poor, dependent, strong, actually doesn't depend on our age. This is why we must tackle, our politicians, persistent inequalities within each age and population groups. This is why our governments, when reforming pensions, employment policies, health, they need to look how to avoid that actually at different stages of our lives, we will be accumulating these inequalities, these gaps in the protection of our rights, which would have at the end a negative impact on us when we will be actually getting older and becoming old. Moving to the conclusion, once again, I think that the UN Convention offers an opportunity to frame intergenerational solidarity within the context of universal human rights, rather than as a matter of a pure resource or costs allocation. So in doing this, we can actually foster solidarity through different meaningful opportunities for all age groups. And at the same time, I think the Convention will provide safeguards against the arbitrary use of so-called fairness arguments that may justify on the basis of age and can actually hamper this principle of equality. My last word, I wanted just thinking to conclude my speech, to give a twist, I was thinking, is there any interesting maybe quote or proverb that can actually reflect this question of solidarity? I just came across, I don't know if in the room, if there are any delegates from Ireland, but apparently there is a very useful proverb which says, we live in each other's shelter. So I think that perfectly captures actually the core idea of solidarity, where each generation relies but also supports the others to ensure a society in which we can flourish. So the UN Convention that we're embarking on, I think, is a project that will unite and benefit every generation. Thank you very much.